You know what? I've been quarantined for almost the entire month of December and still am going into the new year with the flu, with the stomach bug, now with COVID. I am ready to break out of this house. So, we're going to be talking about breakout players here for the Atlanta Braves on today's episode of the Locked On Braves podcast. So, let's get into it.
Hey, this is Stacey Gotsoulias,
DC Lundberg,
Ryan Finkelstein,
Taylor Blake Ward,
host of Locked On Yankees,
Locked On Mariners,
Locked On Mets,
Locked On Angels,
and you're listening to Locked On Braves.
Locked On Braves,
Locked On Braves,
part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, where we are talking about your favorite teams every day, including the Atlanta Braves here on Locked On Braves podcast. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on Twitter at shortstopball. Check out my bio there to see everywhere I am covering the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves over at tomahawktake.com. Also covering the AA South prospects over at Prospects 1500. I do some work for Chicago White Sox side over at SB Nation as well. And I cover college baseball over at College Baseball Daily, getting pumped for the college baseball season. Cannot wait for that to happen here in about a month and a half. So already looking into prospects. I saw MLB Pipeline just put out their top 100 prospects for the upcoming 2022 MLB draft. So I'm really looking forward to that. Of course, I live in Birmingham, Alabama, live in Hoover more specifically. So I get to go to the SEC tournament every year, see a lot of great prospects. And obviously just throughout the college baseball season, get to go to a ton of games with a lot of really highly regarded prospects in my area. So I love that aspect of college baseball. I love college baseball in general, but getting to see a ton of the prospects, I really am looking forward to that. And make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter as well at LockedOn_Braves. Got a lot of interaction going on over there. Appreciate all the comments. Appreciate all the well wishes. I've been battling, a lot of the flu. I've been currently going through the COVID right now. So it's been a battle over the last month or so. Appreciate all the well wishes. Appreciate everybody being supportive on the podcast since I took over during the postseason, doing great there as far as downloads and views and all of that. So really do appreciate you all sticking with me on the podcast here, supporting me as I take over the Locked On Braves podcast. So make sure you are following us over on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Appreciate all the comments, the questions, the topic discussions for the shows. Again, as always, want to make this an interactive show with all of you. So make sure you're following us on Twitter so you can be a part of that discussion. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube as well. If you're watching on YouTube, I promise you, I'm going to get this settled behind me pretty soon. Get my background going. Got some stuff coming in here over the next week or so that I'm really excited about to put this whole setup together. We currently moved late September, so we're still got stuff in boxes. We're still trying to unpack everything. So stuff's still a little bit in chaos, but promise you watch it on YouTube. I'm going to get this settled behind me here pretty soon. Looking forward to a big 2022 year here on the podcast. Going to have some great guest interviews, a lot of good stuff going on, trying to make this a great podcast for you, all you Braves listeners out there. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Braves your first listen each and every day. We continue to post episodes 3 days a week until pitchers and catchers hopefully report we get this lockout situated here pretty soon. I will be doing 3 episodes a week. I plan to do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So be on the lookout for that here for the next month and a half until pitchers and catchers report. All right, like I said on the top, if you're listening on YouTube, going to be discussing some breakout candidates. I've been looking at 2 mainly breakout candidates for the Braves in 2022. I'm going to be looking strictly at the major league level players that I think could break out at the major league level. I'll do another one later on looking for prospects that I'm most excited about in 2022 that I think will break out. As I said a couple podcasts ago, I'm really starting to dive into the Braves prospects. Really looking forward to that, enjoying that as well. Still got a lot of players I want to look at. So I'll do a podcast later where I'm going to be diving more into some Braves prospects that I think you really need to watch in 2022, prospects that I think could really make a big jump. But for this podcast in particular, I'm going to mainly be looking at two players that I'm looking to break out in 2022 at the major league level for the Atlanta Braves. When I talk about breakout players, I'm not talking about, somebody suddenly becoming an all-star. I'm just talking about somebody becoming a big league contributor that, wasn't before, and somebody who was highly regarded, players that were highly regarded. We thought, would be big league contributors that just haven't yet. And, I'm not expecting either of these players that I'm going to talk about to become, again, an all-star caliber player, somebody that's going to, not even really, not break out like Austin Riley did last year. I mean, that was just unprecedented what Austin Riley did, going from a guy who, is he going to make the roster? Is he going to be the third baseman, to being the guy that finished top 10 in the MVP voting? I think he should have been at least top 5, but I mean, just carried this Braves lineup. So we're going to be talking mainly about two guys that I think could break out for the Atlanta Braves in 2022, really put up some big years and establish themselves as big league contributors for years to come. Before we do that, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include a Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good you'll want to eat it. Unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill, you want to get healthy, but it just gets so boring. Like week 3, you might be thinking this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. And so here's an idea for all of you trying to get healthier this year. Go to your secret stashes where you keep all your snacks, replace all those high calorie snacks with a Built Bar. So whenever you need a treat, you can reach for one of those Built Bars, be healthy for you, energizing as well. And when you go place your order at built.com, make sure you put in our promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Again, that's LOCKED15 at built.com for 15% off your next order. All right, so let's get into my first breakout candidate for 2022. I'm going to be honest with you. When you look at this Braves roster, there's not really a ton of, major breakout candidates. I've talked about it before with the Braves system. We've already had a lot of players break out. I mean, in recent years, you've had Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Mike Soroka, Ian Anderson. You've had these players kind of already break out, and there's just not really a lot left there. I mean, you can talk about guys like Kyle Muller, who I almost put on this list. He's not going to be here. But there's a couple of names I really want to talk about that I'm excited about, that I really, think they both ended 2021 really well. And I'm hoping that carries over into 2022 and they become, again, very solid big league contributors. But the first one I want to talk about is Kyle Wright. So we've been waiting on Kyle Wright, the 5th overall pick from the 2017 MLB draft out of Vanderbilt. We've been waiting on him to break out for quite some time now. And I'll be honest, my level of trust, confidence in Kyle Wright has always kind of been up and down, mostly down. I didn't love the pick at 5th overall. Again, I'm a big college guy, a big SEC college baseball guy. I watched a lot of Kyle Wright at Vanderbilt. Very good pitcher, not a 5th overall pick. And I get it in MLB drafts. Sometimes you're going to pick a player like Kyle Wright at 5 and maybe, try to pay a guy under slot to use more money for picks later. But I just didn't love the Kyle Wright pick there. But as time has gone on, it's kind of like the same scenario with Dansby Swanson. He wasn't the best player in that draft. He just happened to go 1st overall. And now everybody's expecting him to be an all-star, be an MVP. But if you sit back, here we are years later and, kind of take those glasses off and take the expectations off and look at what that player is and can be. Dansby Swanson can be a very good shortstop, a very World Series winning type shortstop, type player for you. And I feel the same way about Kyle Wright. If you take out the fact that he's the 5th overall pick and you understand he's probably not going to win a Cy Young anytime soon, but you kind of take those expectations back a little bit and look at, okay, what can Kyle Wright be for this Atlanta Braves team. And I'm at the place now where I think, okay, he's probably not a top of the rotation guy. Can he be that middle of the rotation starter? Because that's really been the problem for some of these Braves pitching prospects in particular that have come up, where it's like, they have all this hype around them. And it's not only that they can't get it done at the major league level, but then they're not even middle to back of the rotation starters. They're just not big league starters at all. And so, when you take back the expectations of Kyle Wright, okay, he's not going to be a number one, probably won't even be a number two. Can he be a number three? Can he be a number four? Because the Braves need starters like that. They need more guys like that. I mean, the top three right now is solidified with Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson. I mean, those are really good top three of the rotation starters. The Braves need another number three, another number four starter. And I believe Kyle Wright can be that. He just turned 26 in October. Over the past 4 seasons in the big leagues, like I said, 2-8, 6.56 ERA in 22 games, 14 starts with 59 strikeouts and 70 innings and a whip of 1.686. That's just not good. He has not gotten it done at the major league level, as all of you know, and that's very different from his minor league numbers. In the minor leagues, at 3.47 ERA and 404 in a third innings, 404 strikeouts and a 1.212 whip. I mean, that's more of what we're looking for, expecting for Kyle Wright at the big league level. A 3.5 ERA, strikeout per inning, a 1.2 something whip, something in that area. Again, I'm not talking about a Cy Young. I'm talking about a third or fourth starter, a middle of the rotation starter. He was dominant at Gwinnett in 2021, a 3.02 ERA in 24 starts, 137 strikeouts, and 137 innings, including a complete game shutout at the end of the year on September 9th, where he gave up just 2 hits and no walks with 5 strikeouts. In fact, in his last 3 appearances of the season at Gwinnett, he didn't allow a single run over 22 innings. But he's shown promise at Gwinnett before. We know he can pitch at that level. It's coming to the point now. Is he a 4A player, or can he translate that to the big leagues? And it's a very big year for Kyle Wright, and I'm very hopeful for him. I'm very excited for Kyle Wright. I mean, I want to see him succeed, get it done, prove that he can be a consistent big league pitcher, as I'm sure all of you out there do. Then came the outing in Game 4 of the World Series to kind of solidify what he had done at the AAA level this year. And he came on in relief of Dylan Lee, who just, was overwhelmed by the moment, understandably starting a World Series game. But Wright comes on in relief of him and settles things down and tosses 4 2/3 innings, allows just 1 earned run on 5 hits and 3 walks, to the game's best offense, the best offense in all of baseball. And I mean, just an amazing performance. I've said it a lot on here, talked about it a lot on Twitter. To me, Game 4 is the biggest game of the series. I mean, after what happens, early on, it looks like things could get out of hand. Kyle Wright comes in, that settles things down. And then you get the comeback late. You get the back-to-back homers to take the lead. And that just really, I mean, the Braves were up 2-1 in that series, but I mean, who knows how it would have played out differently had they not won that game. To me, that's the biggest game of the series, and Kyle Wright is a huge part of that and deserves a lot of credit for how he kind of just steadied the ship at that point. So, I mean, just a huge outing for him. And I want to break down that outing just a little bit more too. Looking at it for Kyle Wright, he got 6 swings and misses, not a ton of swing and misses in 4 2/3 innings, but 12 called strikes. That is a pretty big number there. He mostly was sinker, curveball, sinker sitting at around 94 miles per hour, the curveball at around 81 miles per hour. He got 8 called strikes on that curveball. That is huge. That is not something we're used to seeing from Kyle Wright at the big league level, not getting those secondary pitches over for strikes and getting behind in the count. He was able to do the opposite of that in that World Series game, able to get that curveball over for called strikes and get ahead in the count. 16 balls were put in play. 6 of them were hard hit, had an exit velocity of 95 miles per hour or harder. 3 of them were hits, including a home run that he gave up to Altuve. Only 2 balls hit off him of the 16 put in play had an expected batting average of over 300 that were not hit. So I point that out to say it's not like it was a lucky performance. I mean, anytime you have a sinker baller on the mound, there's going to be a little bit of BABIP in play, balls at batting average on balls in play. He had 8 groundouts. And again, sinker ballers are going to have some up and down outings. It's just dependent on where the ground balls land, if they're going to find holes or not. Luckily for Kyle Wright, they were not that night. And I mean, it was just a great outing. And, again, when you back that up with the 2021 season he had at Gwinnett to come do that on the biggest stage, and you could just, it seemed like, and I know I'm probably reading too much into it. And, I thought the same thing with Bryce Wilson and the outing he had in the NLCS in 2020. I thought, okay, maybe this is a coming out party for him and he's going to break out in 2021. And we know that didn't happen. He ended up getting traded to the Pirates, but it just looked like a more confident Kyle Wright. And what's funny, going back to that 2020 NLCS, the game before that, Kyle Wright just absolutely got lit up. But what was funny and worthy noting about that is Bryce Wilson came out the next night and dominated. And he said, I had the same game plan Kyle Wright did. I just executed it. And, that's the key for Kyle Wright is, he has good pitches. He has the game plan. It's just executing it. And he just seemed much more confident, in his pitches. I've always said with Kyle Wright, he just has to be more confident in his pitches. He has good pitches. He has the ability to get big league pitchers out. It's just for whatever reason, and it's that psychological shift from the minor league level to the big league level. He just hasn't been able to make that switch yet. But hopefully that World Series outing, again, coupled with the year that he had at Gwinnett, particularly the end of the season, changes that mentality and becomes that turning point for him. So that's the Kyle Wright I want to see in 2022. I think he could be a breakout player again, not an all-star level player, not a Cy Young candidate. I'm talking about a 3.5 to 4 ERA guy at the middle, a 3 or 4 type starter. And I think that would be huge if the Braves could get that out of him. And I think they can. I'm really excited for Kyle Wright to see what he can do in 2022. He's going to come into spring training. He's going to have to earn a spot in that rotation. As things stand now, there are currently 2 spots open. He's going to have to earn one of those, but I think he can. Again, just trust his stuff in the zone. Trust the stuff in the zone. Get that curveball over for strikes, just like he did in Game 4. Get ahead in the count, and then you can dive that sinker in and out of the zone and get some weak ground balls, just like he did against that Houston Astros lineup. So I'm really excited for the upcoming season for Kyle Wright. I think it's going to be a big year for him, and I think we could see him break out and become, a steady major league pitcher for a while. All right, next we're going to look at one more breakout candidate that I have. Before we do that, let me tell you about BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues to march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so my final one here is probably not a huge surprise. I mean, it's the former, I guess in some rankings, he's still the current top prospect in the Braves system, but it's Christian Pache. And I've come to really like and root. I mean, I root for all these Braves players and prospects, but Christian Pache has become one of those that I really root for. I really want him to figure it out, get an opportunity. I've said it on the podcast before. I kind of hope he gets the chance to start the season as the Braves' everyday center fielder. I know he got that chance in 2021. Things didn't go well, and he had the injuries. And I really just think, by the time he came back, the Braves were in a spot where, they needed somebody they could trust right then to get hits. The offense was struggling. Obviously, then you had the Ozuna situation in May. So the Braves really just, they needed somebody that they felt like they could depend on to get hits. And at that point, Almonte and Heredia were actually getting hits and getting on base. So, I understand why the Braves really didn't give him another shot. I felt they should have at the end of the regular season when he was hitting good at Gwinnett, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later. They didn't, which is fine. The outfield situation ended up being A-okay with what they had out there. But I am excited about Christian Pache. I do hope he gets a chance to start the year as the Braves center fielder, unless they just want to make a huge upgrade there for like a Ramon Laureano or something like that. But I am really excited about the upcoming year for Pache. I think he could establish himself at the big league level. Again, I'm not talking about an MVP all-star caliber player here performance. I'm talking about a guy who could prove what he's done in the past at the minor leagues. He can translate it into the major league level. He just turned 23 in November. He has 24 games at the major league level, just 7 hits and 63 at-bats, including 3 doubles and a home run. Interesting note here, I was at the game where he got his first major league hit, and most of you probably wondering how. It was during the pandemic, but me and my wife took an anniversary trip, stayed at the Omni, where we could see out the side windows there and was able to watch the game. And I can vividly remember, I believe he beat out like an infield single or something. And I remember him just getting past first base and being so pumped. And it was at that moment that I just became like the biggest Christian Pache fan right there. I mean, just seeing his excitement, getting his first hit. I love that, seeing that unbridled enthusiasm from a young player. But so just a cool moment there, cool memory for me there. So he didn't get in at bat in the 2021 postseason, did get a couple of appearances in the outfield, the defensive replacement, but he stepped up in the 2020 postseason when Duvall went down. He had 4 hits, including a double and a home run in that NLCS. In 5 minor league seasons, he's slashing 280, 330, 406 with a 736 OPS with 32 home runs and 67 stolen bases, but 45 caught stealing. So not the greatest stolen base threat that maybe you would think he would be. At AAA, parts of 2 seasons at AAA Gwinnett, he slashed 267, 331, 413 with a 745 OPS, 12 home runs, and 115 games. So, I mean, that's what we're looking at here. Again, I'm not looking for an all-star caliber performance. I'm looking for him to somewhat duplicate the numbers he's had at the minor league level at the big league level. I mean, hit 260, get on base 33% of the time, have a 720, 740 OPS, hit double digit home runs, steal 10 bags. I mean, that's what I'm looking for, and play Gold Glove defense. For a while now, I've kind of compared him to Kevin Kiermaier, who has a career slash line at the big league level of 249, 310, 410 with a 720 OPS, and he can hit anywhere from 10 to 15 home runs and play Gold Glove defense. I mean, that's what I'm looking for Christian Pache. I'm not looking for an all-star MVP caliber talent, and that's not necessarily even what the Braves need. Yeah, it would be nice, and I know when you're the number 1 overall prospect in a system, that's what fans are looking for and hoping for, but give me a 720 OPS, double-digit home runs, and Gold Glove defense at a premium position in center field, batting 8th in a lineup. I mean, I would take that out of Pache, and I get it. As a Braves fan, you want to trade for, Byron Buxton before he got the extension, or, Ramon Laureano, whoever it may be. I don't know who all is going to be available at the center field position, but for what the Braves need in their lineup, which should be very good offensively, again, assuming Freddie Freeman is back, they just need a guy in the 8th hole that can, punch one out every now and then, get on base, steal a bag every now and then. I mean, that's what you're looking for, and then play Gold Glove defense, which we all know he's capable of doing. So those are my 2 breakout candidates for 2022. I'm going to put a third one on here that I just wanted to mention briefly. And it's kind of not really a breakout player because I think he's broken out at times, but I think this is the year he puts it all together. And that's AJ Minter. I'm really excited about AJ Minter. We've known for a while now, he has the capability of being a major league closer, a shutdown dominant closer. And we've seen that at times in the regular season. And we've certainly seen it in the postseason. Everybody has the memes talking about postseason AJ Minter. I want to see that over a whole season. I think hopefully, wishfully, we finally get that. If that happens, I think he establishes himself as one of the best relief pitchers in all of baseball. I mean, you look at his baseball savant page, he's in the red just about every statistic there. That cutter is nasty. Batters hit just 182 against it this past season, and he had a 30% whiff rate on all 3 of his pitches. So, I mean, he is dominant. He has the ability to be dominant. We all know he just needs to command his pitches, command the strike zone, get ahead in the count, what we've seen him do, in the postseason at times. I don't think he's going to overtake Will Smith for that closer's role. I mean, as long as Will Smith is healthy, he's going to be the closer for the Braves. But I mean, I could see him becoming like a multi-inning weapon, a Josh Hader type weapon out of the bullpen, somebody that can get you an inning and a third, inning and 2/3, even 2 innings, like we've seen him do in the postseason before, go multiple innings. So I'm really hoping this is more so a hope than a prediction. I'm hoping this is the year that AJ Minter is good from beginning to end, puts it all together, and shows everyone what we've thought as Braves fans for a while now, that he can be one of the best relief pitchers in all of baseball. So let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up in the comment sections on YouTube. Let me know who some of your breakout candidates are for the Atlanta Braves in 2022. But that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Follow me at Shortstop Ball. Also, make sure that you subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you go over there, give us a good review wherever you do listen to your podcast. I really do appreciate it, and helps out the channel a ton. But that will do it here, and we will talk to you next time.